Am I the arsehole? For telling my wife nobody cares about her small business? My wife owns an Etsy shop where she sells handmade jewelry. She has some real talent and the jewelry she sells is genuinely very nice and high quality. She gets a surprising amount of sales on there too, and has great reviews. The issue is that everywhere we go, every conversation she has, she slips in something about her shop and tries to promote it. Talking to a friend? She'll casually mention a big sale she made or a custom order she got and not very subtly mention that she'd give her friend a coupon or something similar. Talking to our waiter? She'll mention that she has a pair of earrings on her shop that would complement their eyes. Talking to someone online? She'll somehow manage to say as the owner of a small business. She literally cannot have a conversation anywhere with anyone without trying to sell them her jewelry. The other day was a family member's birthday, and they were having a decently sized get-together with just other family members and a few close friends. I went with my wife, and she's a pretty social person even outside of promoting her shop, so she was quickly making conversation with my family. Of course not 5 minutes later she was showing someone the bracelet she had on that she made and mentioning that she sells them and talking about how since they were family she would happily give them a 25% discount. She probably had that exact same conversation with at least 5 people during the 2 hours we were there. As soon as we left I spoke to her and said she needs to quit doing that. I told her if people were actually interested, they would ask her about her store, but not every single person she talks to wants or needs to hear about her art. She got upset and said that she just wants to spread her product and doesn't see what she's doing wrong and hasn't spoken to me much since. I feel like I'm the arsehole since I will admit I had a pretty harsh tone and could have been a lot nicer during that conversation, plus I get she's just trying to sell her products, even if it gets obnoxious. Am I the arsehole? X200B. As someone who was a server, it made me slightly uncomfortable when people tried to push that stuff on me. But as an artist I get it, but it's kinda like the vegan who has to tell everyone they are vegan. It's annoying. You should have been nicer, but she doesn't have to tell absolutely everyone. Not the arsehole because I just don't like to get a sales pitch when I am meeting with someone privately. She really should stop pitching it everywhere. It's annoying for everyone else involved. Natar, feels like a lot of people in the comments are running Etsy shops or something and this hit a little too close to home. And all the people saying you need to be promoting a small business constantly, talk about it in every conversation. My aunt, uncle, and my parents all built successful businesses and literally never talk about it. This is not some golden rule of small business. In fact, my parents' worst customers have been family. Telling a waitress you have a pair of earrings on your Etsy shop that would look good on her is cringe. Not the arsehole. She is doing it over and over. I sell on eBay, have for 23 years. I make damn good money. I never bring it up unless someone asks, then I give a few vague responses. She needs to stop. There is a great divide between business and socializing. Not the arsehole. Your wife sounds rather pushy, and people absolutely will get tired of it and just avoid her if she continues to make every conversation and basically her entire personality all about her business and jewelry. Could you have phrased it better? In hindsight, probably. Can I see how it would be nails on a chalkboard after a while? Yes, I can. Not the arsehole. My sil has done every pyramid scheme ever invented, and is constantly trying to sell me her crap. When we announced we were getting married, she tried to sell me weight loss body wraps. When my cat died, she wanted me to buy a custom water bottle she was selling with the cat paw prints on it. My bridal party she tried to sell me kitchen gadgets. I'm not saying Etsy is a pyramid scheme, but when every conversation is about selling things it comes off as tone-deaf and insensitive. It comes off disingenuous for a person to just talk about their products or business. It shouldn't take over one's identity or ability to just socialize with family and friends. I personally cannot stand that type of person. Not the arsehole. Not the arsehole. She is annoying and needs to back off. I go to family events to relax and enjoy the company, not deal with commercials. Natar, I've got a friend that does this and people literally just stopped inviting him to things lol, like dude I'm not gonna buy your shitty handmade fishing lures irregardless of how many times you remind me your Etsy exists, smiley face. Not the asshole she's coming off as pushy and incessant and I would get annoyed quickly. Also, it's not like you called her out on it in front of people, you pulled her aside after the fact. I'm more than happy to support my friends and family's businesses, but if someone keeps trying to sell their stuff to me when we're hanging out, am I the asshole? For telling my wife I don't want to have a second child if she keeps her career? My wife has a career that she loves where she works for a company that is based in our city and travels around the country and the world for approximately 12-18 weeks per year. In addition to those travel weeks, there are approximately 10 weeks per year where she is working in our city nights and weekends for 6 or 7 days per week, usually working all weekend with Monday off. So roughly half of the year she is either gone completely or working night time and weekend hours. We have one child, and I am the primary breadwinner. Her job earns approximately 40 of what I make and her salary covers daycare costs and then a little bit. When she is out of town for work, I have full responsibility for our child aside from the 8 hours per day that he is in daycare, during which time I have to work. It has been very hard being responsible for our child when she travels and on so many weekends. I feel like a single parent. My job is demanding, and I usually have to work after putting him down for the night, and barely have time to clean the kitchen, house, etc., on top of my job. I told her that I could support this career if we only have one child, but that if we have two, which is what we both want, that I don't think she can continue in her career. I just don't see how I can manage 2 kids for so many mornings, taking them both to school, daycare, events, and evenings and weekends entirely by myself, all while I am working full-time. She called me weak and said she does not want to leave her job, but said that she will in order to have a second child. I fear she will quit and then resent me, which will lead to bad times for all involved. Am I the asshole? Update for a few who have asked: she did apologize for calling me weak immediately after she said it. Also, she is a good mother when she is here, so I don't want it to seem like she is not. Thanks for all the input, glad to see I'm generally not the asshole. But to explain a bit further, she is doing a job that she is passionate about and highly trained for. Unfortunately, it's not very well paid and not very compatible with raising a family. It is in non-profit art world and she is struggling with that, but ultimately will quit. Not the asshole. I think your position is reasonable. Children are a lot of work. Your wife doesn't seem to know how difficult it is because she's not the primary caretaker. It's also concerning that your wife called you weak. I'd recommend couples counseling before she quits her job and you have a second child. Not the asshole. If you want a job with this lifestyle, you don't have kids. Oh, and don't get me wrong, fathers that are excessively absent due to work are the same. You seem to be doing all the parenting, housework and holding down a full-time job and getting no help from her. You are right, there should be no second child unless she is prepared to step down from work and step up as a mother. Not the asshole. I'm a mother of 2. I work a regular 8 a.m. 5 p.m. job. My husband literally changed his job because I was doing all the parenting by myself since he was working 6 a.m. 8 p.m. on a good day. Bad days, I wouldn't see him until the next morning. It's not feasible. I was having a terrible time before he changed to regular hours. We are now both much happier, our relationship is doing excellent and we both get to spend time with our children and get to have a good relationship with them. Not the asshole. Weak. Is English not her first language? Or is she trying to belittle you? Honestly, I wouldn't have any more children with someone who responds like that to a perfectly legitimate statement. Having 1 kid alone is hard. 2 is even more difficult. And if she's traveling that much and making only enough to cover daycare, I'd question a lot more about her job and income. She isn't being fairly compensated. Of course she wants a second child. The first is hardly any work for her. You know your capacity. Stand your ground and don't allow insults. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Take it from a child of 2 parents being not very involved in raising me, you're not only doing a service to yourself but also to them. My mom will never be able to admit her job had priority over me, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to overcome that wound. Please don't have more children if you know you won't be able to handle it. I'm sure you would do your best, but at some point you'd start resenting and they will feel it. Not the asshole. Having kids is a 2-yes thing. You are taking on most of the responsibility, and it's a lot. It's completely fair to talk about these issues and come up with a solution. And having one kid is an option. Not the asshole. Your marriage is not a partnership. You are carrying an unfair amount of the work primary breadwinner and most of the childcare. Your wife literally has no options to demand a second child when she is not sharing the care for the first one. The only thing you might be leaving out is that her role is something that is quickly going to switch to her being the breadwinner and reduce the amount she travels so you can share the responsibility. Absolutely not the asshole. It would be exactly the same if you were the one traveling and your wife was the single parent. Because that's what you are for most of the time, a single parent. She has to find a way to balance her career and her family, or you're going to burn out. Not the asshole. As a parent of 2 kids, 2 is definitely harder than 1. Given what you've explained, the work-life dynamic for the both of you doesn't sound suitable for 2 kids. When they are older, it gets easier but also worse when you add in homework and sports and other extracurriculars. And wait until they start fighting over who stole whose seat and blah blah blah. Calling you weak is really shitty, too. She needs to figure out what is most important to her. 2 kids, or her career, or even her marriage. Not the asshole. You will need to get over that she will resent you. She's always going to resent that she can't take advantage of you. I don't like that she called you weak because it speaks to an imbalanced dynamic within your relationship. Tell her that if she can't be fair, then divorce and splitting custody will force her to change her work schedule anyway. There's no version of reality where she's a parent who avoids parenting. Not the asshole. Not a good situation to bring another child into. I'd not want a second child with someone who calls me weak anyway. You might want to reconsider. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I wouldn't want even 1 child under the circumstances you described. Is there no compromise possible, maybe where she finds a new job with less travel, no nights? She thinks it's weak? Divorce her and let her find out how weak she's going to be trying to juggle this insane job schedule with single parenting. Not the asshole. I wanna be in whatever gymnastics class the YTA and ESH commenters are in because they are doing world record backflips to make you out as the bad guy. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your wife is dumping all the family responsibilities on you and not even bringing in a big salary to justify the sacrifice. You are not weak, you are at the end of your rope. It's her choice: keep her job or have another child. You have made it plain that you can't cope single parenting 2 children. I think she's deflecting blame for her choice onto you, but ultimately it's her choice. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Being realistic isn't weak. Does your wife insult you often? It sounds like she either needs to significantly increase her salary so you can be a sir, she leaves her job to look after 2 kids, or you maintain the status quo but you are still unhappy. Not the asshole. Raising children takes a lot of time and energy, and it is completely reasonable that you don't want to have multiple kids with her current situation. It's not like you are asking her to quit her job, you are just saying you are not comfortable bringing another child in the mix. Not the asshole. I have to admit, as a single mother of 3, with a demanding career, I had some trouble with your challenges, but on reflection, I've had to grow an extremely thick skin, a bloody-minded attitude, give up any time to myself, and I'm somewhat always tired, stressed or tired and stressed. I think on reflection you're being fair and reasonable, and that it's a hard life being all things to all people. In fact, I think making sure you can take care of you is the most sensible thing. So let me get this straight: you are the primary breadwinner and bring the most income to the household, you do basically most of the childcare, you communicate about reasonable stuff that can affect your family's future drastically. And she has the nerve to call you weak? You're not the asshole op. Your wife is. If she resents you for being a responsible adult, husband and father, then the issue is her, not you. Am I the asshole? For telling my wife I'm not going to sacrifice my hobbies just so that I can babysit? My wife Jane and I have been together for 5 years. She also brought my stepdaughter Emily into our marriage. We have her for 4 days a week empty while she's at her dad's fry son. From the beginning, Jane told me Emily doesn't need a second father figure as she has her dad to fill that role. I was only supposed to be a trusted authority figure in case she ever needed anything. I didn't mind and try my best to respect that boundary. She's a sweet child anyway and doesn't cause trouble, so it's not like I have to discipline her. Her father is also a good dad. Emily's dad recently got married and his wife has 2 kids of her own who are at their place Wednesday to Saturday and at their dad's Sunday to Tuesday. Emily and her new step-siblings don't get along at all. They're always fighting and it's pretty toxic. Emily's dad asked Jane if they change their custody schedule to match his step-kids to keep the children apart. It's not a big deal in and of itself because we don't live far from each other, so picking and dropping is no issue and she can easily be dropped off to school no matter where she stays. The issue is my wife agreed to it without consulting me. Jane is currently doing a certification course for the next 12 months and they have classes on Saturdays from 9:05 p.m. She asked me if I can babysit Emily on Saturdays, but I can't because I play golf with my brother and sister on Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. 1 p.m. This has been our tradition from before Jane and Emily came into my life, and I had told Jane from much before that this is important to me and my siblings. She asked if I can move to another day, but that's not possible either because my siblings also have jobs and families of their own, so Saturday was the best day for us. I told her she can hire a babysitter but she doesn't want to spend money when I can do it for free. I told her that wouldn't work for me. She then got mad and said golf is stupid and I should put my stepdaughter over my siblings. That pissed me off, so I told her I'm not going to sacrifice my hobbies just so that she can have a free babysitter. For the record, I don't have anything against Emily. I've babysat her before and she's a good kid. If there was a family emergency or if it was an occasional occurrence, then yeah, I would cancel golf for that day to take care of her, but I can't give up something this important to me for 12 months continuous. She called me a selfish asshole and slept on the couch last night. So am I the asshole? Not the asshole. I was ready to read this and read you for filth, but this is truly an R move from your wife. I think it's totally fair that she asks you to help out, but agreeing to it without talking to you, and assuming you'd consistently do this is wild. Why did she agree and then work to loop you in after? It's also interesting that now that your wife needs your help, Emily is your stepdaughter, where it seems like there was a clear boundary that you aren't a father figure. If your wife wants to revisit what your role is to Emily, totally cool, but it shouldn't be because she needs a babysitter. Not the asshole. It sounds like this is something that should have been worked out more carefully as a family before agreeing to. Is it possible that the dad-stepmom changed their kids' schedule as well? That way they have her when Jane is busy with certification courses. Info. Is there a kids class or something like that where you go golfing? Could help integrate the two if a schedule change is not possible. Not the asshole. Pretty straightforward. Sounds like the child's parents need to figure this out, not the trusted authority figure. Not the asshole. Your wife can't say her daughter doesn't need you as a stepfather, but then expect you to step up as a stepfather every single Saturday when she needs you. She can't hire a babysitter. Dad and stepmom also need to step it up and work on the relationship between the new step-siblings and get that under control, because there are going to be times they are all together in the same house. That's just life. Not the asshole. Jane told me Emily doesn't need a second father figure as she has her dad to fill that role. I honestly would remind her of this. Not the asshole for obvious reasons. I also think it's such irresponsible parenting for Emily's mom and dad to ignore the fact that her new step-siblings are bullying her out of her own dad's house. They're just going to change up all of their lives instead, so they don't have to deal with it. You let her know from the beginning that your Saturdays would not change. Plus she has no right to accept the deal without telling you, especially Am I the asshole? For calling my friend's GF creepy because she won't stop bringing up my race? I have a group of friends, all 24, 26, 8 in total, that includes a guy. I'll call him Nick. Nick has a girlfriend, I'll call her Josie, and they've been dating 8-9 months. Nick introduced Josie to the group about 6 months ago. Both Josie and I are mixed race, the rest of the group is white. Ever since we met Josie, she's made really out-of-pocket comments too about me concerning racially related things. Things like asking me if why all my friends are white, questions about my mother's African background, comments about how I do my hair, like how I shouldn't straighten it. I always tried to steer the conversation away from these topics and laugh it all off, but she brings it up so often. Nick says she's just trying to find a foothold in the friend group, but I don't see why she can't try to get to know me or anyone in the group as people rather than just bringing up this irrelevant thing we have in common. I also pointed out to Nick that Josie and I may both be half African but not the same country in Africa. It's wildly different cultures. Even if I was raised in an African culture, which I wasn't, it wouldn't be one similar to hers, so really it's grasping at straws. And that's to say nothing of the fact that it makes me uncomfortable. Anyway, over the weekend we all had a boat day and we were having lunch. We were talking about school and I mentioned that one of the schools I went to had predominantly Asian students. Josie asked if there were any black students in my year and I said yes, but I didn't know them very well. She then asked if the reason I wasn't friends with them is because they thought I wasn't black enough. I don't know if it was that comment or the countless ones before it, but I just felt so angry that she would once again take a conversation that everyone was participating in and make it into a race thing for no reason. I said, "No Josie, that's not why we weren't friends. Frankly, the only person I've ever met who is obsessed with my racial identity is you. And just so you know, it's really creepy." Josie tried to stutter an apology, but I said the only apology I was interested in was it not being brought up again, and my BF jumped in and changed the topic. Nick later took me aside and said I'd really upset Josie and she was just trying to bond with me. He said she has trauma. He didn't got into detail about her race, and by humiliating her I'd made her really uncomfortable. I told him that wasn't my problem and I'm not going to be Josie's emotional support colored friend, and if he thought I should be, then I wasn't sure what that said about how he views me. Nick is now mad at me for insinuating he's racist and 2 friends have taken his side. I don't think I was wrong for wanting Josie to respect me like everyone else, but evidently people think what I said was harsh. Was it? I am also biracial, half black. Why is Josie so obsessed with you not hanging out with more black people, when she herself has joined a mostly white social group and is dating a white person as well? It sounds like she is projecting her insecurities. Date and hang out with whomever you want. Not the asshole. She keeps subtly implying you're whitewashed. I would be beyond annoyed. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I don't see what else you could have done. Josie badgers you about your race, you call her out, and lo and behold, some of your friends' unexamined white racism rears its head and they decide that you just needed to take care of the feelings of the only other mixed race person in the group, and that you shouldn't rock the boat by pointing out how weird it all is. It's a mess, but it's not of your making. Did you ever have a conversation with her before you snapped? This is the most European way of dealing with race stuff I've ever seen, Lamau. Nata, but also I hope you actually made it clear you weren't interested in this stuff instead of going ha ha yeah, and changing the subject. Some people wouldn't get hints if they were written on a billboard. She seems to probably be that type. And if not, then to suddenly blow up on her like that in front of everyone else on a day out wasn't very cool to do. Kinda understandable, I guess, but still. You're the asshole. You never explicitly told her you don't like discussing your race, just Nick. I know so many minorities who bond over racial convos. It doesn't have to be negative, it could just be like, oh, you're late, go too? This is how my culture makes it. So from her puff she's had casual, if awkward, convos with you as a new friend of her BFS and you just snapped on her. Learn to communicate clearly before you get to your last straw. You're the asshole not because you don't want to bond of your race like she does, but because the first time you let her know it bothers you is to call her a creep. Not the asshole. Josie Grossi needs to mind her own. He said she has trauma. He didn't got into detail about her race. Then she needs counseling because to me, it sounds like she's doing some sort of weird verbal self-harm. Seems like she's first strike othering herself so no one can hurt her by doing it later. I know I'm going against the popular verdict, but you're the asshole. Seems like Josie felt alone and just wanted to bond with you because you had something in common. You could have told her that you are not comfortable in bringing up race. But you called her creepy, which is extreme. A lot of black folks are reading this and know exactly what's up. Hopefully one day you'll see too. You're the asshole. If race is so irrelevant, why are her attempts to engage on it so objectionable? You're the asshole. You should have pulled her aside from the start and told her you didn't like talking ABT it. She was clearly trying to relate to you in things she faced, also being mixed. Most PUC take a lot of pride in their race and talk ABT it with other people like them, so for you to call her out and make her feel bad ABT it in the group was messed up, and all these non-black people in the comments telling you you're not wrong have never been through it, so they don't know. You should have just sat her down to see where she was coming from, cause those conversations are normal for PUC. Big, you're the asshole. There's layers to this and everything points at you being the asshole here. Seems you got some issues with your black side. Get the therapy you need. Someone trying to identify with you based on shared commonalities is human. Seems you wanna be accepted more for your white side by the fact that you don't associate with anything outside of white when you obviously have had opportunities to befriend others. Your friend circle is more open to others than you are. They actually have more black friends than you. Lol. I agree with his girlfriend that maybe nobody wanted to be your friend, but not because you wasn't black enough. It was because you was a jerk. Yes. You were weird and rude, and honestly it sounds like you have issues of your own. Perhaps you are not proud of your African, but yeah. I would call you the A. Josie is a nah for bringing up non-white business in front of your mostly white friend group. But, based on what you said, it sounds like you could use a friend who has some identity consciousness. I assure you, when some shit actually hits the fan about your having African heritage, which it inevitably will, you'll have a more likely ally and confidant in Josie. Not your boyfriend and not the rest of y'all's friends. It seems that you talked to Nick about it. Are you sure that he told Josie about you being uncomfortable with the situation? It's possible that she is bad at social cues, and didn't understand your reaction. So if Nick never told her that you are uncomfortable, which is possible, then your reaction in the last conversation was out of the blue for her. I would say nah, just some misunderstandings all around. Not the asshole. You said how you felt. If bringing up race is uncomfortable for you, then she needs to respect that man. Yes, in a perfect world you could have said it with just the two of you, but things don't just happen like that. You never called Nick racist. He's trying to find a way to make you look bad. He cares about you making Josie uncomfortable, but not Josie making you uncomfortable to the point you snapped. Man's blinded by love, TBH. It looks like a common occurrence on this sub that people come with stories how they accumulate resentment to someone then blow up in an ugly way one day. Are you justified to feel uncomfortable because of Josie's comments? Yes. Are you justified to blow up? No, she didn't do anything unusual, she just continued to do what she always did, bring up topic that is annoying to you. You should have reacted much earlier, but also you should have reacted with the cool head. You're the asshole. You weren't wrong, but you were an asshole. You could have addressed it with her in private instead of humiliating her. Sounds like she's just awkward. You owned her in front of friends and they probably think you're an asshole even if you're not wrong. Am I the asshole? For refusing to pay $45 for a soda and half an appetizer? Last weekend, one of my friends organized a group of people to go do fall things. We rented a van and went to a few breweries, wineries. When we got back, we stopped at a pub to hang a bit before going home. There were about 12 of us, so they seated us at a table. People ordered food and drinks. When the check came, one of the guys quickly gave his card and after signing, looked around and said, "Okay, everyone, Venmo me $45. This threw me off because many people had ordered meals, sides, drinks and shots. I had ordered a Diet Coke. I had to drive 1.5 hours home and shared an appetizer with my husband. I asked if we could each Venmo him for what we ordered and he seemed annoyed. He sent everyone a pic of the receipt and had everyone Venmo him for what they got. For context, I'm fine splitting the bill evenly when everyone orders roughly the same thing. But also if I ever put my card down, I always ask everyone if they want to split it evenly or not just assume. My husband thinks I'm being cheap and should have just split the bill evenly with everyone. I know I'm more money conscious than others, so I'm wondering, am I the a-hole? ETA we were expected to pay $90 including tax and tip for me and my husband. Since my husband did have a drink and a shot in addition to what I had, our actual total we ended up paying came out to $53 including tax and tip. Not the asshole. Why should you pay for other people's food? Just pay for what you had. Coke and appetizer shared with your husband. What, 20 max? Was our husband expected to pay as well? Not the asshole. This happened a lot at a company I used to work for. My boss would always say they'd pay and we could split the bill later. Turns out they wanted the credit card points they'd earn for a large purchase. They would also occasionally do things like forget the receipt or say they left a really good tip, so everyone would throw in extra for tip and tax. After a while we were pretty sure they were using it to pay for their own portion. I ask for my own bill at my first interaction with the server now, no matter who I'm with. Not the asshole. Splitting a check should be decided ahead of time. It's not Am I the asshole? Because I told my parents to choose between living in my garage or a nursing home. I don't drive and live in my forever house with my dogs. My kids are grown up and I'm a widow. I converted my garage into a legal guest house with everything a person needs for when the kids visit. Independent washroom, kitchen, everything. My parents have recently asked me if they can move in with me. I agreed and talked to my kids to let them know that if they came for a visit the garage was taken, so they would have to stay in the house. My parents showed up on the appointed day and the kids showed up with their families to help get them moved in. And they actually had already arranged a hotel for one family so we would not be crowded. My parents were confused as to why we were moving their stuff into the garage. I told them that was where they were staying. They said that they thought they could move into my house since I have 5 bedrooms. I explained that I actually have 2 bedrooms since one room is my office where I see clients, one is my private office, and one is my hobby room. The spare bedroom is mostly for my mutts. They said that they wanted to live in the house, not out in the garage like Fonzie. I said it was a take it or leave it situation. If they didn't want the garage they could move into a nursing home or something. They are upset that they are living rent-free in a private guest house that is fully up to code. Not the asshole. If it's a converted guest house that's completely up to code, I don't see a reason that they would want to go into the house, as everything you have in the house you have in the guest house too. My friend recently turned her shed into a beautiful guest house, kitchen appliances, private bathroom, the works. Her parents are currently living there and they don't have a problem with it. They like the privacy and they like being close to their child. Wow, your parents are spoiled. A rent-free, up-to-code apartment sounds pretty sweet. If it isn't good enough for them, then they can make other arrangements. But if you let them into your main house it will become their house. And you won't be able to get away from them. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. This is not the garage. This is a converted living space. A free converted living space. And Fonzie didn't live in the garage. He lived in an apartment above the garage. They wanted main house for you to be their cook, maid and carer. In the guest house they have to fend for themselves. Stop calling it the garage. They hear that word and it sounds like a nasty space. Start calling it the guest house. It's all in how you're selling it. Tell them it's my roof and you'll do as I say, JK. But honestly, a rent-free place of their own where they're not in your way and you're not in theirs seems like the best deal for everyone. Obviously there will be times when they visit you in the main house, but I think you're being fair. Not the asshole. Weird that the topic never came up before they moved in. Info, you didn't bother communicating any of this beforehand? Reminds me of something a friend went through. His wife's parents went bankrupt, wild spenders, and got thrown out of their rented apartment. He offered to buy a condo for them to live in. He found a nice one in a good area they knew and took them there, telling them he was ready to close on it. They told him they didn't like it and wanted something bigger and nicer. So he told them to buy their effing condo themselves. He got divorced the next year. Not the asshole. I'd be totally fine with that. Rent-free? Sign me up. I'll adopt you and everything. Well, I would actually prefer the garage to have a little more autonomy. Not the asshole at all. Frankly, if I were your parents, I would prefer the free, up-to-code, private apartment that comes with their own kitchen, plus, there wouldn't be the worry of interrupting your work. Not sure why they can't just be appreciative of the opportunity you've offered to them. Sorry you're dealing with this headache. Not the asshole. You might not have made it totally clear that they would be in the guest house, not moving in with you. Maybe make it clear that you want them to maintain their independence and the guest house is the best way for that. Stick to your plan. Do not let them bully you. You will lose your autonomy in your own home once they decide to take over. Not the asshole. Sounds like you didn't explain it fully to them. Why would they not know this before they showed up with their stuff? ESH. Not the asshole. Their accommodations are up to code and this arrangement works for you. They are free to seek other arrangements. ESH for not having a convo about living arrangements until the day they moved in. Situations like this come up all the time in Am I the Asshole? Don't make big life decisions with other people without talking about it. Marriage, kids, roommates, etc. NTA for offering the garage. Not the asshole. Something not considered, but I'm assuming that the garage apartment, their bathroom, laundry, kitchen, and other living space they would use is all on one level so they don't have to deal with stairs. When you get older this is huge. If they were living in the house they'd be navigating the stairs several times a day, and for the elderly that's just dangerous. Don't old people think Fonzie is cool? Not the asshole. Rent-free and a sense of autonomy? Perhaps your mom can do some things to make it more home-like. This is a good time to use an expression only used by old farts like me: don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Bet they thought you'd wait on them. Take care of them. Not the asshole. If they are saying your generous offer isn't acceptable now, don't let them move into your main home or they will likely find a lot they want changed in it too. Can I live there? I'm down for living in a guest house for free. Not the asshole. Not out in the garage like Fonzie. Lol, love it. 2 cars ago, I drove myself and my parents to town. My dad was in the passenger seat and mom sat in the back. She said these seats are uncomfortable. I told her she could ride in the trunk. My dad laughed and my mom was silent. Not the asshole, but I think when you said that they could move in you should have mentioned where they're going. Living in a guest house rent-free would be life-changing. If this is the norm I don't see an issue. I think it could have been better communicated because it doesn't seem like you told them ahead of time. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but I'm pretty floored that you, a therapist or life coach, apparently never thought to tell them where they'd be staying. Surely you knew they might want to move into the house proper? It wasn't right to drop it on them when they arrived. Esh for not clarifying all this information before moving. Like Fonzie, smiley face. If I was old enough to need to live with my kids, I'd much rather have my own separate area. Not the asshole, but I'd maybe revisit the conversations about what this arrangement looks like moving forward because it seems like there wasn't much detail. For example, will you be planning on making adaptations as they get older and develop issues with mobility? Have you had conversations about their finances and whether they will pay for in-home help when it's needed? All of this may be many years away, but it would be better to start having those discussions now rather than navigating surprises along the way. It will be 100x more fraught when they are dealing with new physical limitations or financial anxiety. Not the asshole. They were expecting to move into your house and leech off you for food, etc. I don't understand. You agreed to let 2 grown adults live with you. And between 3 adults, no one talked about the finer details of the situation? About utilities usage, or noise, or them living in the garage? Not the asshole. Sounds like our parents have a decision to make. You have a room in the house for your dogs but not your parents. You're the asshole. Not the asshole. I'm assuming your 5BR home has more than 1 floor. That's a bad idea for the elderly. They are much safer in a single-floor environment. While your parents may think they want to live in the main house with you, I can almost guarantee that they would find it very difficult to adjust to living in someone else's home, and following someone else's rules, schedule, etc. By being in their own space, they have all the freedom they had in their house, with none of the maintenance, and you're literally a few steps away. I don't understand their thinking, TBH. You're the asshole for posting something that seems false rage bait, but on the off chance it's real, you're still TA for your inability to communicate with your parents. Bonus assholery points because you absolutely knew that you didn't communicate adequately. Pretty impressive assholery. Am I the asshole? For forcing my girlfriend to appreciate my hobby? We're both 18. I have an interest in martial arts, and have practiced a decent amount judo, wrestling in high school, Muay Thai, karate. The thing is, my girlfriend finds martial arts silly and never comes to my tournaments because she says martial arts look stupid to her and she doesn't want to laugh. Additionally, she always rolls her eyes and says hi yeah mockingly whenever I bring it up. I've generally found this upsetting. It's something that's really integral to my life, and I'm not asking my girlfriend to force an interest, but at least be respectful, She has hobbies I have no interest in and find boring too, but I don't mock them because I recognize different things appeal to different people. So I confronted her and said I wanted her to be more respectful and at the very least not say anything if she can't appreciate it, say something nice. She got angry and said she's not obligated to be nice or interested in a hobby that she's not into, and I shouldn't force her. I don't think she's obligated to be polite, but it's just basic social norms to not mock stuff other people are passionate about. Am I the asshole? You didn't force her to do shit. You just asked her not to be a complete dick about your interests and behave with common decency. Not the asshole. Not the asshole sounds like your GF should be hired out of your life. Does she also act immaturely if her friends have hobbies she doesn't like? Ick. Hubby plays WoW. Am I remotely interested in games? No. Will I hear about it and congrats him on beating a boss? You betcha I will. She's not obligated to give a shit about your hobbies. However, she got angry and said she's not obligated to be nice. This is some grade A bullshit from a romantic partner. We are absolutely obligated to not be assholes. We don't always succeed, but we should try, and we should acknowledge when our behavior hurts people we claim to care for. This isn't about you forcing or controlling. This is about her failing at basic decency. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You're just looking for a modicum of respect and maturity. You say she's 18, but seems like she has some growing to do. Not the asshole. She's toxic. If she can't appreciate her partner's hobbies, then I wonder what else she'll overlook or not care about in regards to your relationship. I'd also consider this a red flag. I'm not saying break up because of this, but this really doesn't look good. Not the asshole. If you reacted the same way she does about your hobbies, I do wonder what her reaction would be. Test it out, poke the bear. You aren't forcing her to do anything, asking her to have common decency and her considering that forceful? The bar is in hell. Go forth and find someone who can be decent. She sounds like someone who would get mad at you for washing up if she coughed in your face. Not the asshole. If you're not gonna hire her out the door, not talking literally, then the least she could do is not make fun of something you love. Not the asshole. She sounds like a selfish person who does not know how to get along with other people. You can wait for her to mature if you want to, but you don't have to. You're not asking too much. She's just too self-centered to be able to see things your way. How are you not going to support the person you love and care about in their passions? This is not about whether or not she cares about your hobbies. She doesn't have to give a fig about martial arts. She is, however, supposed to care about you. I don't like running, my fiancé does. I like painting, my fiancé doesn't. We've never forced each other to do the other thing. But that doesn't mean that I make fun of him when he does on runs, and he doesn't complain when I paint. I make fun of him for being sweaty and he makes fun of me for being messy, sure, but There's a line you can't cross. Not the asshole. She continues to make fun of something that is important to you. She doesn't respect that this is important to you. Why do you want to continue to spend time with someone who ridicules something that is important to you? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Judo chop time. ETA judoka here to Lamau. Not the asshole. My husband could give two flying fucks about my doll hobby, but he doesn't make fun it and even support me. A true partner doesn't have to like your hobbies or even understand them, but they do need to respect them and not treat them like a toilet and shit on them. Honestly dude, you're 18. I would ditch this girl. She's not obligated to be nice, she's right about that. But it's something you would do for your partner if you actually cared about them. So just like she's not obligated to be nice, you're not obligated to waste any more time with her. Edit not the asshole. Not the asshole. You didn't force her to appreciate your hobbies, you asked her to stop treating something that was important to you as a joke. You don't have to like the same things as your partner, but it's important to be supportive. Hate to say it, but I'm really not sure how long this relationship will last, considering she got mad at you for having communication skills and expressing that what she was doing was hurtful and rude. Not the asshole. When the people in my life share their hobbies with me, I generally listen and ask questions even if I find those things silly. I genuinely want to know more about them and what makes them happy so I can make them happy. It's important for people to feel validated and supported by those closest to them. She sounds quite selfish and immature. Not the asshole, but I've got to admit to laughing out loud at the yeah. Why are you dating someone who doesn't respect you? Not the asshole. You need to move on from her and get you a girl from a fighting gym. You'd have someone who would be stoked to hold mitts for you. In my opinion, your post title is a bit misleading. When you said forced, I thought you made her watch one of your tournaments while claiming it was something else and essentially mislead her. What you said was completely fair. Honestly, your girlfriend sounds like an asshole. And she is indeed obligated morally to be polite to her boyfriend about something that's such a big part of his life. Especially when you specifically talked to her about it. She doesn't have to be interested in the hobby itself, but she should be supporting your interest. If my man wants to go fishing, I'm not a big fisher, but I'll go. 'Cause he likes it. I'm not gonna sit there and mock fishing and do pretend casting a line out and shit, that's just dumb. Not the asshole. She's the R. Why would you make fun of someone's hobby? Especially someone you claim to care about. And martial arts. Bruh. Martial arts is so cool. I wanna learn. But she cannot like it. She can hate it. But making fun of you is not okay. Point blank period. Not the asshole. Speaking from experience, she doesn't respect you. Without respect, no relationship of any kind will ever work. So, save your time and energy and leave. You're only 18, you'll find much better, I promise. Not the asshole. My wife jokes about my hobby of working out by saying things like gotta blast the glutes and leg day baby in the classic lightweight. The difference is she wants me to work out because she knows what it does for my mental health. If you GF doesn't appreciate it, and it really bothers you, find a new GF. You're too young to have to put up with that. You are asking her to be polite and not mock you over it, you aren't forcing her to like anything. Not the asshole. My mother always did dogs shows. My father hated them. He would go because he wanted to spend time with her, not because he wanted to see dogs run around. He never told her how stupid he thought it was, even though she knew he felt that way because it was about supporting her and not just being negative the whole time. Not the asshole, but as you get older you'll realize someone like this is not a good partner. I don't care what she looks like, her attitude is ugly. You're asking her for good manners and a balance in your relationship, showing that she cares about your interests and hobbies, although this is more of a lifestyle and even a more important building block for your relationship. If she can't appreciate your investment in these now or change to do so, you might consider moving on. Talk to her seriously and make a decision. Not the asshole, but why are you with her if she disrespects you like that? Not the asshole, but NGL, her saying hi yeah is hilarious. At least she is funny. Not the asshole, but also I find it weird how many are immediately urging you to break up after this one anecdote. It's 100 immature of her to be so disrespectful about your hobby, but she's 18, she's got plenty of time to grow up with or without you. Am I the asshole? For playing video games in my lunch break. I work from home most of the time, and during my lunch breaks I'll tend to quickly make lunch and then go for a walk to get some fresh air. My girlfriend sometimes works from home and sometimes works in the office. She was off work sick today, so was spending most of the day in bed. The weather was really bad, so I decided not to go out on my lunch break. I made my girlfriend a hot drink and asked if she needed anything, and she said she was fine. I sat with her for a while when I ate my lunch and then went into the living room. I put a video game on and thought I'd go on it for 30 minutes before I get back to work. My GF came into the living room and asked if I was being serious. I asked what she meant, and she just said she's feeling really unwell and I'm in here gaming. I mentioned that I had asked if she needed anything and spent time with her, so it's not like I was ignoring her. She said it's just rude that I'm sitting on a video game when she isn't well. I asked what else she wanted me to, and she just shrugged, repeated that I'm being rude and not really caring, and went back to bed. Am I the asshole for playing video games during my lunch break? Not the asshole. There is nothing you can do for her. You already made attempts. She can't even communicate why it's rude because it isn't. I hate when people have the "I'm miserable so everyone has to be awesome" mindset when they are sick. Enjoy your game. Not the asshole. What? Are you supposed to just sit next to her so she can have company while she's miserable? You already hung out with her for a while on your lunch. It's not rude to take some time for yourself. Not the asshole. It sucks that she feels bad, but you did what you could to help her. She's not dying, so sitting by her bedside and holding her hand or checking in every 5 minutes is unnecessary. Your life doesn't have to pause because your partner has a cold. Not the asshole. She needs to be specific with what she needs or shut up. Because she's sick, but doesn't need anything specific, you can't unwind on your 30-minute break. Talk about rude. What were you supposed to do? Organize a bedside vigil? She's got a cold or whatever, for crying out loud. Not the asshole. Tell her to grow up and learn to self-soothe. The real question is, are you the A for playing video games while your GF is sick, because your lunch break really has nothing to do with it? Not the asshole. If your GF cannot tell you what she needs instead, then it is her problem. Not the asshole. Not sure what she wanted you to do? You asked if she needed anything and this is just sick brain and not how she usually is. Not the asshole. She needs to use her big girl words and communicate better. Not the asshole. If the video game was making it hard for her to sleep, or she said she wanted you to be in the room with her, you would be an asshole. But it sounds like she was getting rest and decided you shouldn't be having fun if she's feeling bad. Not the asshole. You'd already gotten her something. You asked if she needed anything. When she said no, you continued on to something else. I'm not sure what she finds objectionable here. WTF? No, of course not. That's weird behavior. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You asked her if she needs anything, you made her a hot drink, you cared for her. She can't expect you to sit there and do nothing just because she is sick. Even more important is that when you asked what she wants you to do, she just shrugged. If it is so important for her, she should answer you properly and not just shrug and walk away. Not the asshole. If your GF can't communicate what she wants or needs, then you can't be expected to address those. When she's feeling better, you should sit down and talk to her about how adults explain their feelings using their words. Not the asshole. I'm assuming that you don't tell her what she's allowed to do in her lunch breaks. Not the asshole. Misery loves company, but that's some ridiculous nonsense. Your girlfriend is acting super childish. Not the asshole. This is ridiculous and childish. Not the asshole. She said she didn't need anything from you. Got upset when you listened to her. Not your fault she can't communicate. Not the asshole. What else did she want? I am a woman, And this thing that some women do truly confuses me. If you want something, communicate the want or need directly. Don't expect your partner to be a mind reader or decoder. Life would just be so much happier and easier if we all just communicated with each other. Most partners will help you when they understand what you are saying. Blah to your girlfriend. I don't know how to offer advice to make it better, maybe just tell her to please communicate. Come on up, you were supposed to hover, so if she wanted a hug you were right there, and if she didn't want to see you, you weren't visible. Hold a steaming hot drink in one hand and a super cold one in the other, just in case. Position friends at every possible location in town so if she gets a craving you can have it there instantly. And for the love of God don't let her hear you breathe. I'm kidding. I'd say that if she's not usually unreasonable and demanding, she's grumpy and achy and all that goes with that. Her irritation probably just translates to being tired of feeling bad. Not the asshole. Info: were you quietly playing, or was it a loud game you yelling? Not the asshole. Some people when they're sick just want everyone to be miserable with them. Not the asshole. You did what you could do in caring for her, her acting up like this makes her TA. Clearly you are supposed to sit in the dark staring at a wall and doing nothing. Jokes aside, not the asshole. You did nothing unreasonable. Not the asshole. Your GF needs to learn to communicate like an adult. I get she's sick, but that's not an excuse to come out all mad and still not be able to tell you what she actually wants. I was ready to be mad at you, but you did nothing wrong. Hey, I'm getting lonely, can you spend the rest of your lunch with me? Isn't hard. Not the asshole. I work from home and will do this occasionally as well. You spent time with her, and she should understand you taking me time before going back to work. Not the asshole. She can't voice what she thinks you should have done instead because deep down, she knows you've done nothing wrong. She's literally just cranky because she feels crappy, and she's taking it out on you. Not the asshole. She's probably overreacting because she doesn't feel well, which isn't fair. It might be worth talking to her about it when she feels a little better to address emotions etc., but you're not doing anything wrong by relaxing on lunch just because she currently can't. Not the asshole. What were you meant to do? I'm honestly confused. You're playing video games while she's playing mind games. I know which one I prefer. Not the asshole. What game are you playing? You're all in high school or something? Info: is she demanding and critical when she's not sick? Is this behavior typical for her in general? I bet she thinks playing video games is a waste of time but scrolling Insta and watching dating shows isn't. Not the asshole. She could have communicated she wanted you to stay with her when you asked. She chose not to. Not the asshole, other than apparently you're dating a 5-year-old. Women, coffee. Do you need anything else? No. Why are you playing video? Give me all of your attention HSSSSS. Bruh, not the asshole. Why are women like this? They say men can't communicate but women pull shit like this. No means no unless she means yes. What? Communicate better women, use your words. Bruh, just say that you want attention SMH, you bros are so difficult. This is where gay men are happy, because they can communicate with each other. Your GF is weird AF. I wouldn't want to be in that relationship. She has poor communication skills and is trying to make you feel bad just because she's feeling under the weather and doesn't want to see you happy and content. You've done nothing wrong, she's literally just acting like a child that doesn't know how to communicate. Not the asshole. Why would someone want another person hanging around them when they feel unwell? You asked her if she needed something and brought her a drink. Why would she want her to just sit there while she lay in bed?